Everyone, it's Sam here for another week ahead forecast. I hope that you enjoyed last week. Hope that you made it through the full moon okay. Definitely let me know in the comments how that worked out for you. This week we have some really interesting aspects, including but not limited to a fiery start to the week with some nice trines and Mars moving into Gemini this weekend, splitting our focus and freeing us from the fixed Earth of Taurus. Mars will be staying in this sign for a very long time. So we're going to have to get used to this energy, but it means that things initiated this week will be carrying on through the rest of the year. Now, we'll go on to the forecast. And as always, I have timestamped the aspects below in Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to check those and also convert to your time zone. If you would like to follow me on Instagram and Facebook for the daily horoscopes and daily astro weather breakdown, just search for Sam Bellier, just like the title of this channel. And we look forward to having you as part of the Astro Fam. But for now, let's go ahead and we will pull up the chart and take a look at each of the days so that we can prepare for the week ahead. Okay, so first and foremost, as we look at Monday, we have the moon conjoining Jupiter in Aries, which really kicks our day off with some spice. Now, when we have a conjunction with Jupiter, this is going to be big, this is going to be fiery, this is going to be intense. We also have a second aspect in the morning, which is going to be Mercury and Virgo trining the North Node. Now, after that kind of initial hustle and bustle and explosion, then we're going to get into this nice groove. We're going to be able to focus on order and planning and making sure that we take a detailed oriented approach towards getting the future in order, which I absolutely love. Okay, so after that, there are no other aspects on Monday, so we can go ahead and just cruise through the rest of that day, which will be very, very lovely, and enjoy that kind of motivated moon in Aries. So as we look at Tuesday, we have an early morning sextile to Saturn, which will help us with focus, and then another strong fire aspect. So here, the moon in Aries is going to trine the sun in Leo at 10:47 a.m. in Eastern Standard, and that's going to give another rush of heat, another boost of energy, another kind of go, go, go supercharged attitude. But just like on Monday, we have an Earth aspect following right behind as Mercury and Virgo makes a trine to Uranus. So again, there's this kind of hustle and bustle, but then this order, regimen, and routine energy that's kind of paired Monday and Tuesday. Now we do have a frictionous aspect around 4:17 as we start to run out of stamina and gas. The moon in Aries will square retrograde Pluto in Capricorn, and that's going to bring up the past. That's going to remind us to ground, to root, to respect our foundation, and to know that we can't have these bursts of energy without consequence. As we kind of express ourselves with that sun in Leo and moon in Aries, we need to be able to remember where we came from and to sink back down into those roots. Speaking of roots, the moon will move into Taurus at 10:22 p.m. Eastern Standard, and that will give us a nice, restful, stable evening where we can kind of sink into deep sleep. Moon in Taurus is exalted. It is the moon's favorite sign to be in because it provides us this really nice earthy foundation to build stability off of. So really wonderful end to our Tuesday. Wednesday, we actually don't have a lot going on, which I think is important as we look at the aspects for Wednesday. Wednesday only contains a square between the moon in Taurus and Venus in Leo. So Wednesday is going to be kind of our most chill day of the bunch, but because the moon in Taurus is ruled by Venus, who is in Leo, and they are making a square to each other, this might mean that relationships need to be reevaluated. This might mean that your boundaries and borders and this kind of conflict between the introversion of the moon in Taurus and the extroversion of Venus and Leo will kind of be butting heads a little bit as you determine how best to use your energy. Do you need to roar in this situation, or do you need to kind of get back to the daily routines and not shake things up? We've had a lot of shakeups recently, so it's important to judge those two options fairly. Other than that, the moon in Taurus is still going to be an overall grounding influence for our Wednesday. And we will need it because Thursday is very, very different. So Thursday is going to be our busiest day of the week. We start off with a fire trine at 4 a.m., which is going to disrupt sleep. When we have fire energy in the middle of the night, when we should be resting, this is going to kind of heat us up and bring our energy to rise sooner than it should. So a little bit of disrupted sleep in the morning is a hard way to kick off the Thursday that's already busy. Now, the moon is going to conjoin the North Node and Uranus in the morning, giving us the ability to focus on the future and also continue to kind of redistribute our energies and focus on some of the themes over last week and this week as we're kind of terraforming the foundation. There is going to be a square paired with a trine Thursday afternoon, and that's going to be an interesting polarity for us to experience because the moon in Taurus, who wants to be stable and fixed, is going to conflict with Saturn, who wants to be kind of the influencer of less is more. And Taurus is a sign of accumulation and steadiness and kind of grounding through gravity, whereas Saturn in Aquarius is asking us to be inspired and hyper-focused, but not to spread our energies into the minutia of daily tasks, to kind of work on one thing at a time, whereas Taurus is going to be more about getting everything done at your own pace slowly. As we move into the kind of Mercury and Virgo trine, so the moon will trine Mercury and Virgo, there will be a really nice synergy with the mind, and the second half of Thursday is going to be much, much better. So as we get into a flow, as we get into this, even with Saturn saying, helping us to say like, no, Saturn saying, hey, it's time for you to prune. It's time for you to cut back on these things that are draining your excess energies. We'll be able to find more clarity and focus through that and have a really nice early night as the moon makes a sextile to Neptune and helps us to embody that idea of restful sleep. Moving into Friday, Friday gives us a different blend of energies as we start to shift our signs. So here we have, first and foremost, another not great night for sleep. The moon in Taurus will square the sun in Leo, creating friction overnight. But the moon will also trine Pluto. And when the moon trines Pluto overnight, the subconscious is going to be very active. And I think everything that happens on Thursday will need to continue being processed overnight on Friday. So best to really get an early night on Thursday night to help with Friday's kind of continuing of processing of yesterday. Now, the moon will conjoin Mars and Taurus first thing on Friday, and that will give us a boost of energy that we need to start. But then that energy will immediately start to fracture as the moon moves into Gemini, the mutable air sign, at 8:06 a.m. Eastern Standard. Moon in Gemini is all about freedom, about exploring options, about embodying that kind of two instead of one, and allowing us to reach for more of those opportunities instead of being hyper-focused and hyper-fixated. So it's a little bit of a light-hearted energy. The moon making a sextile to Jupiter will also give us a nice boost and carry us throughout the rest of the day with ease. Now, Saturday, we have our big transition. So as we move into Saturday, we can see on the wheel that Mars has changed signs into Gemini. Now, this is going to be a really important shift for a lot of people. Mars is the planet of action. Mars is the planet that symbolizes our passions and our drives. And in fixed Taurus, Mars has been suppressed to a certain degree. The fixed Earth of Taurus slows Mars down and helps us to activate the foundation, but also allowed a lot of that plowing to happen as we had the Mars North Node and Uranus conjunction back a couple weeks ago. Now that Mars is going to be moving into Gemini, there's going to be this freedom that comes up. Mars, who is normally single pointed, is going to have two options in a double-bodied sign. So that allows our passions to be kind of spread a little bit more thin, and Mars will be staying in the air sign of Gemini for a very long time throughout the end of the year and into next year. So this is going to be a long-term change for us. The moon moving into Gemini will also make a sextile to Venus and Leo, but other than that, it's just going to be a moon in Gemini day. But overall, there will be a really nice free energy on Saturday as we start to explore both Mars in Gemini and the Moon in Gemini. Moving into Sunday, Sunday is our second busiest day of the week. So we'll go ahead and pull up those aspects on the chart here. As the moon moves into Gemini, the moon will also make a trine to Saturn overnight. There will be high levels of friction in the morning on Sunday. We need to be prepared for this. This is going to be probably the tightest aspect of our week because we have an opposition at 3:25, we have a square at 9:45, and then another square at 10:28, all Eastern Standard. This is going to be between Mercury and Virgo and Neptune, which is going to dilute the mind and cause a lot of lack of focus. It'll be great for dreaming. It'll be bad for kind of conscious, rational activity. So people will literally be a little bit out their minds on Sunday morning. So lay low then and really make sure not to overdo it. The moon in Gemini will square Neptune, causing confusion, and then the moon will square Mercury in Virgo. So there is this idea of the mind, the heart, and Neptune, the planet of sleep, confusion, spirituality, and blurred boundaries, creating this kind of Alice in Wonderland effect where we don't really know where we are, how tall we are, whether or not we need to talk to the caterpillar or eat the mushroom. And this is going to be a very tricky aspect on Sunday morning to navigate. However, it does get better throughout the day. The farther we get from the morning, the more that moon in Gemini will be able to adjust and recover because air is easy to adapt. As we move into the evening, the moon in Gemini will make a nice sextile to the sun in Leo, help us to ground via the ego, and then the moon will move into Cancer, a wonderful water sign, the moon coming home to her sign of Cancer, giving us nice sleep, good family time, high emotional intelligence, and letting us finish out the weekend with a more compassionate note. So that is your forecast for the week. I hope that you've enjoyed this play-by-play. Again, for more in-depth horoscopes as well as daily posts, make sure to follow on Facebook and Instagram, and we hope to see you next week. In the meantime, may the stars be ever in your favor.